it still be stuck on the old prompt, or would it get the new prompt if I duplicate it or something?
Actually, let's test that here. I'm going to
like, does it retroactively update moving forward once you push something? It'll push it on all new activity versus. Does that make sense? Like, kind of how when you push the flow put 2.0, like if you had scripts with the other stuff, it didn't really affect it.
Yeah, it looks like I might be wrong. It looks like right now it's not doing it by default. I don't know where it. I don't think it is doing it by default right now. I think it is by default allowing filler. So I think you just have to tell me, hey, I don't want it turned on, because there's some people who still want it. There's someone we turned it off for this week, and they're like, hey, I want it back on. Turn it back on. So
yeah, I mean, it's all good except in the first node. You know what I mean? The first node is just literally like you might as well shoot yourself in the foot. You know?
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, you just have to set the accounts you want to disable for, and I'll make sure it's disabled. The reason I asked if it for sure was no longer happening is because the voices also seem for some people to generate ums, and that's not something that I can change with that liner. So I was thinking if it is actually going away, then me changing that sounds like the fix. But if it's not going away, maybe the voice model itself just adding that in on its own. So it was dependent upon that. But if it sounds like you're not hearing it anymore, then I think that does fix it.
At least on those accounts. At least on those.
Yeah, the accounts we made the change on.
Yeah. So that was that. And then the other thing, I'm glad it happened to me while doing it live so I could share it with you. But I was doing a live with one of my clients or whatever, and as I was literally building out her flow chart, and I'm sitting here showing her how to create a custom action, okay, I had built I pretty much built her entire flow chart, and then I ended up doing the custom actions at the end, and one of the custom actions that I did was send an SMS message, right? She was trying to send like an enrollment link to her students or whatever. And then so I was showing her how to set up a custom action and how to, trigger it and then add the webhook or whatever. And so when I did it and then I saved the custom action, the box disappeared and it literally took an entire chunk off I had to redo everything. It literally, everything I just did deleted itself, including all the nodes and all of the conditions on the nodes, like the conditions, I guess is what you would call it, right? The routes or whatever. The logic branches, right? All of that, when I saved the custom action specifically, not the end call, not the live transfer, because I had those as well. It didn't do it for those. Only when I, named it, saved it, and then that next screen was like it disappeared, and then it deleted probably like 6 or 7 nodes with all the logic branches, and I literally had to do it again live. As I'm doing it live, I'm like, I don't know how to explain this, right? Because this is supposed to.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm like, it's good that it happened because I caught it now, and I would hate for this to happen, to another client. But at the same time, I was like, but shit, that took me a long time to do, and I have to now redo it all the way, and then I had to do it all over. And when I did it again, I saved it, and I crossed my freaking fingers, and it saved itself after I redid all the nodes and all the branches. And I was like, it's saved fingers, and then it saved itself. So no idea what.
So what can happen there is, I thought we fixed that, but what can happen there is if you haven't saved your script, sometimes when you go to create an action, it updates your script and then refreshes the whole script to the latest version because it has to update the script and do some stuff. So if you have any unsaved changes on your page there, if you haven't clicked save before you do that, it can I don't know if it's always or some. I thought it was never. So hopefully it's sometimes. Not
so
always.
That's exactly what I did the second time around, because I was like, all right, I'm gonna just cover my ass. Save it after every little word. I'm like, hopefully this fixes it, and it. I guess that was the fix.
That was it. Yeah, it's just the first time when you added that action, it added the action to the script, but didn't save all the nodes you had added yet, and so
because I guess I did them back to back. I did them all back to back. Boom, 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 without saving it. I was just doing it live.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I saved that custom action, I guess because I hadn't saved it up until, let's say, 5 node 4.
Yeah.
That was the updated script that it thought I had previous to the custom action.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So
okay,
just
so
I thought we
to cover my ass, save everywhere.
Yeah, and it only has to be when you go to add an action. You can just do 10 nodes in a row as long as you don't add an action. They're not going to get erased unless you do. So I said, if you want to save after every time, no, there's no like amount of times it's wrong to save. So feel free to just save.
I feel like it should have. I feel like it should have like an auto state like function, kind of like Canva or something. Like
we actually have that feature, but we disabled it because it was really toxic. It was actually I'm trying to even remember why we hated it, but it was really annoying. And I think it was because there was times people were like playing with the script and they're like, I don't know that I want to save this. Never mind, I'm going to go back, and now they can't because they didn't.
I forgot what they had before. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it. Okay, and then my last question is this. So I have a client who is trying to create a very basic script, pretty much relies strictly on the knowledge. And so essentially what I'm trying to is it possible to prompt in a node see whether the question being asked is a knowledge-based card or not? And if not, go the other route, like transfer over to a human if the knowledge-based card doesn't exist. Is that a prompt that is possible, like with the way the setup is done? Like, would I be able to prompt it to see if it can find something in the knowledge base? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think you can do that, but after it reads the knowledge base card, is it supposed to end the call anyways? Or like
so check this out. So just imagine I have in the knowledge base, I'm a car dealership, call it, and in the knowledge base I have everything related to cars. But here I go and I want to create an object or a branch where it says, if the human asks me a question, that isn't related to cars, for example, or any other question that isn't cars or in the knowledge base, right, which would have to be related to cars, go this other route. Say, I don't want to misguide you. I'm going to transfer you over my manager so you can answer this question and better, and then answer. But for me to be able to rely on it, essentially the prompt scanning the knowledge base to see whether that answer exists. So if the person asks, "Oh, do you have motorcycles?" that should not a knowledge base card.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So the bait. Let me think for a second. I'm trying to think if the prompt that determines the route. No, it's a different prompt. I don't think that is possible. What I would just do is I would have I would have a card that says. So is it just like a single liner card where it's like, or this is a script, it's like an opener, and then it's like, hey, how can I help you? And you just have them only answer enough knowledge base, basically, or is the script pretty robust?
So it's like it's like no, it's like literally, hey Tyler, thank you for calling. We have K through 12, kindergarten, high school, middle school, and the adult program available. Which one are you interested in? And you say K through 12. And then it says, okay, well, Tyler, what questions do you have about K through 12? And that's it.
Oh, okay. And then if they ask
all
the
answers, all those answers are basically knowledge-based.
Okay, what happens when they're done asking questions? Does it just end the call, or is it back to the script?
Yes, I created a logic branch where if they're done asking questions, then they basically go down that route, and then eventually it basically just sends them the enrollment link at that point.
Oh, okay.
So that's working fine. That's not my issue. My issue is when it's not asking a question that's in the knowledge base, not when the human is done asking questions.
Gotcha. Yeah, the only thing I would think to try, and I don't know if it'll work, is off that node, make two logic branches, and one where it says, if the human asks a question that we can answer from the knowledge base, and another says the human asks a question that we cannot answer from the knowledge base. But I don't think it's the same prompt that determines that as the prompt that sees the knowledge base. So I don't know if that'll work. You could try it. Give it a go.
That's literally.
Oh, go ahead. So you're like cutting out hard if you're talking.
Read the novel.
You're cutting out really bad. I can't hear you. I don't hear anything now if you're still talking. Hello. Did you try? Okay. Let me know if your internet comes back. Andrew. WMS Dave, before this talk.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, pretty good. I got a handful of questions and a couple of comments.
Sure.
First thing, I was also having the same problem with the agent not working. Then I tried your demo call, the car accident attorney pre-qualifier, and that wasn't working either. So I figured, something kind of big. Anyway, now I understand what's going on with that, and it should be back online soon, which is great. Okay. One point I want to make to Kevin from earlier when he was talking about the round robin routine, through the different agents. Another good one that's set up for round robin is calltrackingmetrics.com. Like if you had to forward one phone number somewhere, it would be to that. If the action was to forward to a second phone number, then it could forward to the phone number that automatically just chooses each next guy in his list round robin. So that's one way to go. It's calltrackingmetrics.com. CTM might be very similar to what you were suggesting. Another way to do it is to introduce a script on his website that actually changes the phone number with each web page load. So every time somebody comes to the web page, it flips to the next phone number, and it can hold that, session ID or cookie, whatever, for the duration of the time that somebody's on the site. But that way, when the next person comes to the website, then it flips to the next number. So you can set up like 5 agents, which each are dedicated to its very own guy. So we could clone the script, 5 different Twilio numbers that each have the action of sending to each different guy. So just ideas. I mean, there are many ways to go with that, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. Those are good ideas. Yeah, the webpage reload one's interesting. I think he just wants to make sure his team's getting like a fair, equal amount of transfers.
Oh yeah, there's huge demand for that. There's so many, MLM downlines have that. Realtors who are trying to set up groups have that, and they're kind of like responsible for feeding leads to each of those guys, and so they're trying to do it efficiently. So yeah, round robin, that's a really common, good way to go for something like that. And then guys, just check in and check out, like call tracking metrics. Those guys will check in and check out whenever they sit down to the phones and stand up from the phones. So if you're forwarding through the call tracking metrics round robin system, then just whoever checks in, it includes them. And then whoever checks out, it skips them. So people can literally log on and off at will.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. Calltrackingmetrics.com.
Yeah, calltrackingmetrics.com, often referred to as CTM. you'll recognize it when you see that CTM logo. It's like, these got to be the guys.
Nice.
You get an agent account there for a flat fee, and then every next account you create inside of it, every sub account is pretty cheap.
Gotcha.
So there's that.
Gotcha. Awesome. Appreciate the feedback there.
Cool. All right. So one thing I was thinking as I was going through this is like, we can clone a flowchart. You guys should create like an extension, an air.ai extension, and like a .air file, so that it can be the flowchart in its current form. We can hit download flowchart and it just downloads a .air file. That's like date, timestamps, campaign names, whatever, and then be able to upload one. So
yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, because then like guys who lose their work, one way of just being able to make sure that you're always keeping up, or maybe you're storing variations and you're trying not to just keep creating cloned accounts, is you could just download one. Then the guy could just rename it whatever it is .air, so he knows what it is. But then he can make his tweaks on the live agent after that. And then if he thinks, wow, that's pretty competitive, I'm going to download a version of that too and give it a different name. And then I'll keep going, if they're split testing or whatever.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I do like that. Yeah, we have some plans in place for even more stuff like a temple marketplace eventually, and things like that, where you can share and import and export really easily. So that's a really cool idea. I like that.
Yeah. On your way to the marketplace, just create your own extension. Maybe you have one like a .air somewhere, and then people can just download, upload under their own account ID or whatever, but for their own purposes. That way they don't have to lose their work, and so it's just not a bad idea. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good.
All right. Let me see. I'm pretty new here in this environment, so I had a couple of questions. One is, when you're bouncing between creating a flow chart and a knowledge base, the thing that I want to kill the most is latency. So I got a few questions that pertain exactly to that. Like, which invokes more latency, a larger knowledge base or a larger flow chart? When the agent answers, does it just check where it's at in the progress of the flow chart and sees if there's a good answer, else check the knowledge base? Or does it actually reread the entire flow chart before it answers each time?
So neither of those will introduce latency. You can have as big as a script you want and as big as a knowledge base as you want. There actually is some technical limit on a knowledge base. That's not something that will affect the call, that like in terms of latency wise. So I saw actually someone make a knowledge base so big once that and I don't know how. Like, I've seen knowledge bases bigger than this, and it was very clear. But they made a big enough knowledge base that it like crashed the call worker because like it was too much memory, and I've never seen that before. That was pretty wild. But we only load in the most relevant knowledge base cards at the same time. So when the person speaks, we go and then at that point grab the cards that make sense. Like we only show the 3 most relevant ones in regards to what they said at any point in time. So you can't make it too big where it'll crash the worker like that, or lag it rather, not crash it. And the agent only sees the node it's on and the next 2 nodes at any one time, or the next 2 layers of nodes at any one time. So we have internal scripts where they are literally like 800 nodes, and they don't change like the call whatsoever.
Okay, so the size of the knowledge base doesn't materially affect the latency, and the size of the number of nodes does not either.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so that answers a couple of questions mine anyway, and then let me see some more effect because I got a few more questions. Do you guys offer a dedicated server for rent service for guys like me who would say, it seems to me that one way to decrease latency is to separate yourself from your neighbors who are sharing the same bandwidth during the same best hours of the day in each time zone. And it would seem like it wouldn't be a cost issue for you, like having to pile on more servers, if guys like us are willing to rent our own dedicated servers, and you just clone your software onto it and then clone the updates onto it. So for however many of us that would love to have our own servers, it just seems like it would help latency if we had our own server. Is that accurate or no?
Let me think.
Like the way it was presented.
It would only, if that was a thing, it would only make it if you had servers no one else could use and physically only your account could use it. All that would do would give you more. It would like run campaign calls sooner, essentially, That's about it. It's a cool idea though. That's not one I can speak to at all. So I would think,
yeah, because then it would seem like you could offer servers, with say 32 gig of RAM, 64 gig of RAM, 128 gig of RAM, whatever's available. Because it would seem to me that RAM would help lower the latency if nobody else is using up the RAM at the same time. Now, maybe I just got the whole idea wrong.
It would depend on. It would depend on a couple of things. It's more than just like the server cap, because there's a lot of there's external services we rely on too. That are usually where lag is introduced from, not from the call worker itself. So having dedicated servers would really just mean like more bandwidth to run more calls at the same time. It wouldn't necessarily reduce latency. But that's a bit out of my wheelhouse. I don't get to make any decisions. So if that's something you're interested in, I don't know if they offer it, but I would definitely, in your Slack channel, there's someone named Caleb, Thomas, and Ryan, and that's the founders, and they make any decisions related to things like that. I would definitely ping them about that and see what they would have to say, because that would be cool if they offered that. I don't know what is possible and what isn't possible in that realm.
All right. Even when you have the resellers and stuff selling and they're marking up the prices, one thing that they could throw in there as a benefit for the larger cost items is you get the dedicated server with this much RAM, this much storage.
They do that. Oh, we do that already, but it's on like an agency level, not on like an individual account level. So there is like dedicated, to my understanding, there's like dedicated usage for agencies versus the general public who just uses the product for free. They don't share the same call workers and stuff like that. That's like
okay.
The agreement.
Well, but one of the reasons that I paid as much as I did, and I paid a lot, was because I had originally, or at least as I went to pay a lot, and that's the confusion there. I went to pay a lot, and I was told it was about the builds, really. But originally, I thought when you paid a lot, you wound up with more RAM, more storage space, dedicated server kind of environment, so that you'd reduce latency. Like that would be probably the biggest thing to address. Anything that kills latency for guys who are willing to pay for it. But then I was told, nope, it's all kind of the same. Doesn't matter where you start, all ramps up the same way. And that just led me back to what, it doesn't need to be a mismatch, really. Because sure, it gives you an excuse to get more servers. And so even if it's like a co-op server, like you can offer servers for, I don't care if it's, $3K, $5K a month, rental. If you wanted to go crazy like that, you could probably justify it. But then at the same time, you could offer a co-op, a K a month, and up to 3 guys on the server. And if there's only 2 guys fitting on a given server, you get to be the 3rd guy. You can just expand into the extra room without having had a cost yourself.
Yeah, I would definitely take the founders on Slack. Those are some really cool ideas. I don't have any say on implementing that stuff. I'm an engineer though, so as far as how I think, that's awesome.
Okay. So, yeah, if you could send me in the chat here who I'm supposed to contact, because I'm not really sure who that.
Yeah, it's in your Slack channel. There's a user called the account is literally called Caleb, Thomas, and Ryan, all like one username.
Okay, Caleb, Thomas, and Ryan. I don't even know how to look up anything like that. Thomas.
Just in your Slack channel, just type an @ symbol, and then it'll let you pick through all the list of names you have access to.
Oh, okay. Now I get it. All right, there's that. All right, so I had a couple more questions.
Sure.
B2B leads. Say we're setting up campaigns and we're going to make our first offer for B2B. And some of the guys are going to respond and say, sounds great, but, a little too expensive. Okay, we note that in our call outs. We got that. So at the end of the day or the week or whatever, probably the week, we can evaluate how many guys said, great, but too expensive. And we're like, okay, what we should do is follow up with them like 3 days after the original call or whatever, with a drop, a way for them to get in on sort of a co-op price. There's always that kind of a thing, right? Hey, there's another guy willing to get in on this campaign too. How about you get in and we'll round robin the leads between the two of you, for example, that concept. And so are we able to call the same B2B numbers in one or more campaigns? Like it would be different campaigns because it would be the follow-up campaign with a different angle, maybe a different voice, different Twilio number, for the express purpose of offering a drop, offering a way for them to benefit themselves and us, that's not part of the original offer.
If it's, I honestly don't know much about the legality in regards to like multiple calls B2B. B2B does not require opt-in consent.
B2B has no legality rules at all for multiple calls. You can call them all the time. The only thing they can do is say you're harassing them, and that would mean you're calling them back to back to type their phone line. But if you call them once on a Monday, then you call them again on a Tuesday, again on a Wednesday, it's perfectly legal.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that'll be fine. Yeah, I was thinking you meant like 5 minutes later.
Oh, I thought you're blocked calling a number more than once in an account.
Say it again.
I thought Air.ai blocked calling the same number twice.
Yeah,
ever
we do, but we don't block it on an account level. We block it on a
campaign
list
level
and lead level. It's not campaign, list, and lead. So if you uploaded the same lead into 5 different lists, those would technically be 5 different contacts, and we can call each of them once, even if it was the same number across all 5. We determine uniqueness by list and then lead.
Got it. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, there's like no such thing as a do not call list for companies.
Gotcha.
They're companies. They're totally publicly out there, and they're in the business of deal making, and you're in the business of offering deals. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to try spamming a bunch of companies because all you're going to do is get them irate. They're going to block your number. You're never going to make sales. You're going to have a bad center reputation. But the reality check is you have the legal right to contact them as often as you want. There's no way that they can turn you in for it and win anything.
Gotcha.
Okay. Gotcha. So if I had a bunch of Twilio accounts or Twilio phone numbers into a single account, is it? I'm sorry, a single campaign. Is it? I guess a single campaign. I don't even know how you choose. Like if I had 3 campaigns and 30 Twilio numbers, and I wanted to add 10 Twilio numbers to each of those 3 campaigns, or does that make sense? Does that even work?
They're tied. They're tied at the account level, and we will pick through any of the outbound numbers you have on your account at random based on, or not at random, we'll like swap between them. We'll basically round robin between them based on the amount of dials they have. So we spread out dials. So you can't say like, hey, this campaign only uses this outbound number and this one only uses this outbound number. But what you can do is you could just make a different sub account and then only put the area codes you want. Or you could swap the numbers on your Twilio account out for a new area code and ask us to sync the numbers for you, or however you prefer to do it. But we will use all the numbers on the account that are flagged outbound, kind of like not in unison, but just like back and forth to make sure we're not overusing one of them.
Got it. That makes sense. And I still haven't figured out how to designate an inbound number yet, but I'm not on that step quite yet. I'll do pre-qualification calls later, and so I'll be interested.
Inbound is actually pretty easy. When you go to make a campaign, you can pick inbound, and then on the bottom right of once you click inbound, a new field on the bottom right pops up. It says area code, and if you specify an area code, we'll buy a phone number of that area code, and that number will not be used for outbound. It'll only be used for inbound.
Wow, that's weird. You see, every time I hit like create an agent, in my campaign level, it just asks for a name. That's the only option I have. And then the one I start, it's a flow chart.
Yeah, on an agent, it's at the place where you create a campaign where you would pick an area code for a phone. An agent agent is not linked to a specific phone number.
Right. Okay, I kind of get that illusion because I'm new, and so when I start with a phone number, it feels like it's attached to an agent. Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. There you go.
And then timings and zones. Like, say I wanted to run my campaigns to call, but a bunch of guys have like 800 numbers, say, and so if I go to call them and I want to call them in the right time zone, do I have control over that?
So we will look up their time zone based on their area code when we go to dial them.
It's an 800 number.
What'd you say?
Say it's an 800 number.
If it's an 800 number, I don't know. It's a good question. What we pick for that? I have no idea. I don't know what we pick. Well, we must have it flagged as something. We probably have it flagged as one of the time zones. I'm not sure which. That's a really good question. No one's ever asked that before. It's just shocking.
Really? That's it.
No one's ever asked that.
888, 800, 866, 867, all these phone numbers that aren't actual regional phone numbers. They belong to the lawyer. Call 1-800, we'll get your ass off, now, right? But it's 1-800 this, that, or the other, 1-888 this, that, or the other. I mean, there are a ton of numbers like that. Was the guy in Albuquerque, or is he in Atlanta, You can't tell from the phone number.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm actually checking right now to see if it's obvious because we have like a giant index of every phone number, and we're like, oh, this is this time zone. So if we say 800, I don't think we have 800 on here.
You mean you have the prefixes? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what we'll pick in that case. I've never tried that. That's a really good question. You're on the cutting edge.
Maybe the campaign level, you could create another column for state. Because most states are divided by time zone. There are a few exceptions, like Kentucky, where it's split through the middle, sort of. But most states are divided by time zone. And if you allow somebody to, like, when they add leads into their campaign, they could put in a state, and then they could hit a checkbox that says use the state to determine the time zone as opposed to the area code.
Yeah, well, we have some like restrictions we have to put on. We can't risk someone like when we're running campaigns and specifying, oh yeah, I want to call these people at 3 a.m. So like we have to override it with our own. We do have a tool in the future. It's gonna or a feature in the future. So we're gonna say you will be able to narrow down the time range, but you won't be able to expand it like further. You'll be able because it's a pretty big range right now. It's like 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So you'll be able to shrink that though and be like, no, I want to only be 1 to 2 p.m.
I thought there were 2 hours per day, like depending on their time zone. Like if it's Pacific or Eastern, it only calls from 8 to 9, and then only calls from 5 to 6.
Yeah, 8 to 9, but 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Or it's not 9. It's 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. In their time.
I totally misunderstood that. I thought from the reading, I thought it said it only calls 2 hours a day.
No, it calls like
morning hour and the evening hour.
Yeah, it's like 11 hours a day, I think.
So do we have control over saying I wanted to stop calling at 9 a.m. on its own and then start again at 5 p.m. in that time zone?
No, well, we will not let you call. With API calls, you can call whenever you want. It's on demand. But with campaigns, we will not initiate campaign calls before 8 a.m. and after 7 p.m.
Oh, that's not what I mean. I mean, say I only want to spend the money on the calls during the most optimal 2 hours of the day for those businesses in those areas. And I'm uploading people nationwide. Then the system's going to look at, let's start with the area codes and decide when to call them. But I only wanted to call at the right times. The optimal times that were indicated is 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And those are the 2 best hours of every single workday to call businesses anyway, is my understanding, because you're catching them before they get busy.
No, that's the feature I was just talking about. We don't have that yet. We will in the future. But as of right now, the way you would do that is you just turn your campaign on at that point during the day, and then just turn it off when you're done.
Okay,
but definitely is coming in the future.
And you don't have a way in the API to control when to flip them on and off by local time zone, within the range of hours that you allow.
Yeah, there's no API routes for campaigns at the moment. That's another thing that will come in the future. I'm really just expanding our API in general. The only API routes that are right now are the API route to initiate a call and then the API route to create a lead.
Got it. So there's no reason for us to make campaigns for different time zones within an industry. I can't say like DUI leads Pacific time, DUI leads Mountain time, DUI leads Eastern time, DUI leads Central time. There's something like that where I have different campaigns, because unless I'm doing it for myself, then and I guess I would do it so I can do it for myself if I want to call during those optimal hours only. But
yeah, you could. Yeah, there's just no way to configure it beyond just saying, hey, here's all my leads. When I have this running, when it's running, you can dial all of them up to 4 times a day, but it has to be 3 hours between each call, between 8 a.m. in their local time zone and 7 p.m. in their local time zone.
Okay. And then you got to figure out what they do with 800 numbers and 866, or else what? They're just all dead calls.
Yeah, that's a really good question. You should actually test that out for me and let me know what you see, because I don't have any.
What you would do is just constrict it in such a way that it just calls the 800 numbers in a more tightly bound range, so that you know that it's calling within the allowed hours of your system, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It must, like, I just looked in our index of phone numbers, and I figured we would pick a specific time zone, but we have none here, so I don't know what it picked. There might be, I don't know. There's good, like people have definitely dialed 800 numbers before, so it's probably just picking one of the time zones. I don't know which, without being able to pull a little deeper in the code base and find where it's at. It's definitely calling one of them. I wouldn't overthink it though. I would just, unless you're really specific on like, hey, I'm going to be dialing at 8 a.m., but I have to make sure it's not dialing at 5 a.m. on the West Coast. If you can dial more like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 12, 1, 2, I wouldn't stress that.
Yeah, gotcha. I mean, I wouldn't want to call too early. Nobody wants to listen when you wake them up.
Yeah, well, hopefully
you're not going to make any sales waking somebody up at 5 in the morning. You're just going to have a lot of people not want to hear from you ever again. That's it.
Yeah.
Funny. Are you guys incorporating other like voice options, like 11 Labs say? Because there's some really cool ones out there these days. Play.ht.
That's not a question for me. That'd be for the founders. I'm not sure.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Because another one's background texture sampling. You got that idea where you can record a background and AI will generate the consistency of it. So you could be like a guy calling for an insurance program, and you'll hear the other guy will hear a murmur in the background of people closing sales with happy clients, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or you call the pizza place and you hear the pots and pans, the rustle and murmur in the background of people in the kitchen, and it just adds so much realism to the call.
Yeah, we've done a little bit of that with some of our existing voices. I don't know to what length though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, all right. I think I got a whole lot of information covered. That was my list of questions, actually.
Awesome, man. Well, it's good to have you. Feel free to come to as many of these calls as you want to, 3 times a week. So feel free to stop them ever.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you very much.
No problem. Hope you have a good evening.
Yeah. You too.
Yeah.
Take care.
You too. DahBahm, go for it. Let's go.
Hey, Dr. Ethan. Mine's real quick. I just sent it to you in Slack, but I know you're probably getting ready. But I just want to know, I have a lead list with multiple phone numbers per lead. I was wondering, how does the campaign in Air handle if it sees multiple contact numbers for one lead?
You can't have multiple phone numbers for one lead.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. Did you just have like additional columns on there? There were like phone 2, phone 3, or something like that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. Yeah, those all just ended up going into the metadata. So when you imported it, when you selected that phone field and mapped it to a phone number, it just picked whatever. Yeah, just pick whatever column you use there. Yeah, you can only use one.
Oh, crap. Okay, well, I gotta let my client know that we can't use multiple contacts.
Yeah, because we wouldn't. I mean, you could use multiple contacts, but you would just make a different contact for each number. You wouldn't have one lead with 4 phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll use a prompt and separate it like that with a prompt.
Okay.
And I think that was pretty much it. I just wanted to figure out that part right there, building this list. I was like, oh crap, it has multiple numbers. So basically the same deal with if it has email. Well, I mean, it's not going to be email or anything like that, so it's not like a big deal. But yeah, I just want to know that because I saw multiple phone numbers and if the campaign could handle, multiple numbers under one lead, So, all right.
Okay. Cool.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be able to do it.
All right, you too.
See ya. Jose, go for it. How's it going?
Okay, how you guys doing today?
Good. Your day going?
Pretty good. Okay, I have a couple questions here. Some of the stuff might be redundant because I got in a little late, so probably you might be able to answer some of the questions. So I'm gonna get down to business because I have a lot of questions here real quick. Give me a second. Just this is a yes or no question, and based on that, then I can come up with another questions. When you are a BIP, the servers that we are in, they're different than everybody else, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I know we have scalability with AWS. Why seems to be an issue with servers when AWS got many servers?
why is there an issue with servers on AWS? It's not necessarily an issue with servers. A lot of times it's an issue with like services that we use that power the calls.
Okay, yeah, because there's a lot of latency. I haven't really noticed the difference. Some of the stuff I'm testing, and obviously when I got in, I heard somebody saying about the going blank. Mine went blank. It calls me but doesn't say nothing. I don't know what was the issue. I know you already discussed it. I'm not sure if I heard it when I got in. So, but that's the issue I've been having there. I'm doing the testing call and just go blanks on me. I call. I got multiple numbers because obviously I got my personal and my business number, and I called in and I didn't hear nothing. It's calling, but I didn't hear nothing at all.
Gotcha. That issue should be fixed tonight. That one's not like related to VIP or servers. It's actually an issue with Twilio. We're working on fixing it now.
Okay, excellent. Next, access to all editor. Can we still get access to that if we are VIP?
Yeah, just ping, and that's one of the benefits of VIP is you can still get access to a lot of that stuff. So just ping in your Slack channel. Just give them your account email, and they'll get you added. Ahmed or probably Ahmed will add that for you.
Excellent. Let me make sure to put here email so that way I don't forget. Okay, now I want to know the difference between the prices for having a webhook going from GHL or having a lease. What's the difference in pricing?
I don't have all the info on that right now. If you ask Amber in Slack, she can give you our full like billing breakdown. I don't know what the link is off the top of my head. I think it's on our support.
Okay, because the way I do Facebook lead, and then I do all my AI texting and whatever automation I already created. And if they don't answer, they don't book an appointment, I automatically have the AI call them. So I need to know exactly what's the best way to do this in most cost efficient way, because I have a client that's being lined up. I want to make sure that mine is cost efficient, so I can pass on the obviously the savings to them, because I'm going to charge a retainer fee. So I want to make sure I can get on whatever. I mean, the less expensive one, I guess I can say. Like I said, they're going to be making a lot of phone calls, and that falls into the next question. We got the people I'm working with. They have pretty much they sell appointments, and they have many agents in the United States. So as I hear a lot of people talking, I'm thinking like, this is going to be an issue for me, because they make the appointment and then set it up where we can send an API call and have the agent to high level book an appointment. So I'm just trying to figure out how we're going to deal with that. We having like multiple agents, because I know the Tulio, I got my numbers, but then once I get into his numbers, I'm not sure if he's going to use it's a Vanish or Tulio, whichever is going to be the cost, more cost efficient for him. So I'm trying to figure out how can we deal with that situation.
Yeah, sure. So Vonage is a little bit cheaper. I'd get onto it when you can. But when you book appointments, they're just done, like they're done on the call, and then they get scheduled and put onto your calendar independently. They don't like have something or someone call the human. They just get booked on your calendar, and they're just done through the call itself. You can have as many booked as you want as your calendar allows. And I guess I'm not understanding what you're referring to.
Okay, so I guess, let me take in two steps. If I do it on my own, then it's looking at my calendar. Obviously, it's going to high level look at my calendar ability, whatever, and it books. But when the client on Lightning Up, they book appointments for multiple agents. So they'll sell the service where like they get the lead, book the appointment, and the agent's gonna show up, right? So they charge.
Is he using Go High Level?
They're not using they are using High Level with my CRM, but that would be like a nightmare for me, because I would have to set up like a calendar for every single agent that they're selling to, or another way that I can think. It's like, okay, I would go into my CRM, right? But then send it, book an appointment in the calendar, whatever I created, and then send it to the agent as an email confirmation. But then when you got they probably sell to about 1,000 agents all over the state of the United States, that's gonna be an issue, because if you pick a calendar, then that's gonna get filled up pretty quick. So I'm trying to figure out how to work with that situation.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would use, if they don't have their own sub account on GHL, I would then use cal.com. They're a free calendar booking site. You can use it there, and then you can just give them a free calendar that runs like that they have their own error sub account on. Like you just create a separate error account for them with your Everflow commission link, and then you give them a cal.com calendar,
Right.
so you're not
So-
worried about sharing it with yours.
Let me kind of give you an idea what my business model is. I want them to get my CRM, right? So if the agent wants to do it independently, obviously it's going to be $97 according to high level, guidelines, right? But then this client I'm working with, they're selling leads to other agents, right? They happen to get into the insurance business now, and they're using my CRM. So they already have like 40 agents, but besides their own agents, they have all the agents that sell lead to. And that's where like I'm thinking, okay, how am I gonna do this? Because the idea is I can, capture some of that money in my CRM, but then also I'm gonna sell them I'm not telling them then that it's Air AI, so they're gonna do everything through my system, which my system is gonna do all the API calls and all that. And that way they can just whatever they do, because they're gonna have somebody else who's kind of monitor all these, then they can probably just go into somebody else's whatever account and book an appointment. So I'm just trying to figure out how, because I don't want them to know that it's Air AI. They doing the AI code through my system. So I'm just trying to figure out how to disguise these, or are they eventually gonna have to go to Air AI, or can I control that? Kind of give me an idea.
Where are the leads coming in from?
Okay, for my stuff, they're all coming from Facebook, right? And sometimes I'm gonna do Instagram. So I have total control over that. And then it comes into my CRM and it does the automation, the texting, the email, the voice drop, whatever. And then if they don't get back or reply back to the AI or the automation, then I send the API for the call to come in and make trying to make the appointment. So for me, it's working. I just thinking about we're taking this to the next level with these people, and I just trying to figure out how to do segmentation. Where like, okay, I can track it, and also we can still book the appointments for the agents, because for the agents that they have in-house, then we're making calendars for them because they're paying me a license per every agent. Obviously, the more agents they add, the more money I make. But then I want to incorporate it so they can see with their agents, because eventually they want to blast it out to whoever all the clients are. So I just trying to figure out the best way. We're like, okay, I can tell them about AI, but I don't want to be cut off, and I don't think any one of us want to be cut off if we bring the client.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, are they going to be in the account, like looking at the automations and stuff like that?
No, they're not. I'm not allowing anybody to look at my automation. That's what my money is. Unless they want to build something, I can build it for them. But my automation that is I built for probably about 3 or 4 years already working. It's kind of, I don't want to say perfected, but it's to the point where everything is working the way it's supposed to work. Okay.
Gotcha.
There's always, obviously room for improvement. Go ahead.
Is the only way they would find out about error is if one of the people you set for them told them like, "Hey, I spoke to your AI before." Is that
they haven't I'm still in the process where I have to sit down and show everything to them, and it's I'm gonna show them through my CRM, right? But then obviously they have no idea that the API that I'm getting out of the system is going to you guys, right? Which they don't really need to see. I'm still creating, like giving them a copy of the script until the AI do a summary. They have a link to my tool so they can listen to the call, but they don't see anything that says AI. Everything is branded. So I just trying to figure out where, like, if we go with these people, that's
the only way they're gonna find out then is if they listen to one of the recordings and they're like, "Hey, that sounds like AI," or if they're like,
"Oh no, they know it's AI," but they don't know. They want to know what am I doing. I say, the system. Obviously, there's multiple things to it. Where you get to build, you keep, and whatever your agent do, say you have power over that. So they're gonna have completely power. I just don't want them to know that it's AI, because I know they do volume, and even if I give them a discount, I still make a very decent profit.
That makes sense. I don't think they're gonna find out then. The only way they find out is if you gave them access to like look through the phone numbers in the Twilio account, like to look at the webhooks that are set up on it. I mean, those mentioned here about AI and the webhooks, but you'd have to be really discreet. Not discreet. You'd have to like know discreetly where to look to find that.
Right, and then I'm not giving them power for anything to do with the the AI code. They won't be able to see it. And to say the truth, sorry.
Oh, I think you're fine then. I don't think there's anywhere they're gonna find error. Except the only place I can see them figuring that out is when we go to book appointments with Cal. It's either Go High Level or Cal, or it's either Go High Level or Go High Level and Cal. I don't know if we do this with Cal. But Go High Level, when you book an appointment, they require you to provide an email. If you don't give us an email with the contact, we will use an email that's like lead has no email 352164, some random series of numbers at air.ai. So you just would want to make sure you did pass in an email for all those leads.
Oh yeah, I am passing emails from because when the leads comes in, I pass all the returning data, email, because I want the AI to confirm their birthday, email, telephone number, and what else is confirming. Pretty much like the demographic information, telephone number, email, and where they live, because obviously they need to know exactly in their birthday. That's kind of the four items is being confirmed, and I'm passing all that data to the API, and that's why I needed to know which one is better. Should I do an API to create a list and have a campaign, or should I just do the way I'm doing it right now?
I would just stick, if it's working, if the price is like, from what I understand, is like the same between them. Like it comes out to be exactly the same at like a volume. So I would just stick with your API setup if it's already working. But you could also go the route of, if you don't want to manage having to like call them back over and over if they don't answer, you could also just as easily set up a campaign attached to a list, and then wherever you're using the API route to call right now, you could just swap that out for our leads route instead, and then just create a lead and let Air take care of calling them.
Okay, yeah, that would be like certain time of the year where it's over enrollment. I definitely want to create a campaign because I want to make sure they keep going. Okay, so anyway, let's move on because I have a lot of questions here. Now, I have my Facebook leads running 24/7. You say that obviously if you do a campaign, it's not going to call after 7. If I'm calling the API, would they still make the phone call?
If you're calling inbound,
right? If I'm doing an API call, would it still call? Because I think that one of my agents called somebody 11. I can hear the lady say, "Hey, it's 11," and I was like, "So go ahead."
Well, if they call inbound, we'll answer at any time because they're the ones calling in, so they obviously want to talk to us if they're calling at that hour. But we will not call outbound unless you place an API call. If you
so that's what happened.
Call,
so I have to control it. So I figured out it was me that created the mess. So I just went in there into the automation and say, if it's like A, don't call. If it's A or less, don't call. Okay. So so that answered that. Okay, I'm troubleshooting. Okay, you already said you guys working on that. Now, and I think I mentioned this to you before. I have like multiple numbers, and this is because at the beginning when I got my tool, I kind of got everything into like one company, and all the numbers are there. I didn't know better. Like I know now that I can do sub accounts. There's probably about 5 numbers, but I really want to break. And you told me you guys can do it. Pick like a primary number and a secondary. Is there a way you guys can tell the system only use this and this number?
We can just give the system a list of all your outbound numbers, and it'll pick from them at random based on how many dials you can.
Okay. So that'll be great. And are you guys planning ever to do white label, or you guys not planning to do white label?
We white label in the sense of like we are okay with you not telling about Air, but in terms of like features and like official white labeling, I don't know. You'd have to ask the founders on that. I know they've talked about it multiple times. I just don't know if it's on the roadmap or what the plan is.
Okay. So and eventually it's gonna happen. I mean, see if he really wants to take it to the next level, like high level, he's gonna have to do it at one point in time. Because that's that makes him more money. Makes him more money, regardless, right? So just to confirm, everybody that is in this call is VIP, right?
Yeah. There's no public users allowed to join.
Right, because and then obviously I was just asking about the AWS. So I now understand it's not really the AWS. It's more like multiple services that you guys are using. Okay. Now when it comes, I heard you say something about the having the states, and you guys have some kind of logic there that we're not allowed to go to the states. Obviously,
I don't think I said. Sorry, can you say that again? I don't think I said that.
Okay, sorry. It's just I speak too fast. Let me slow down.
Oh no worries.
So I heard you guys saying that obviously you guys understand the time difference between time zones, right?
Oh, sorry. I thought you were referring to states and something else. Yeah, when we go to dial the lead, we will look at their area code on their number, and if, for example, it's a California area code, we will know. Okay, right now in California, what is it currently? It's 8:35 p.m. in California, so it's past 7 p.m. We can't call them. But
Okay.
if we looked and they were a Hawaiian area code, it would be like 5:35, and we could still call them, and we would then call them at that point, right? Where we can look that up.
Okay, I was just confirming because I have automation and logic inside high level where say, okay, if it's the local time is this, don't call. So that kind of works in conjunction.
Oh, cool.
Because obviously
Yeah.
I want to be in compliance and I don't need the FCC behind me or TCPA or any of those. Okay.
Yeah.
I told my clients, if you use this after a certain time, if I don't catch it, Tulio's gonna catch it. If they don't catch it, high level's gonna catch it. And if I don't catch it, somebody else is gonna catch it, and you're gonna get shut down. So I tell people, don't abuse it. Okay. So the latency issue, you say, is more the multiple services that you guys have, or what's going on with the? Because I wish I can see the difference, but I really haven't seen it yet. I don't know if they moved my account because I had a public one. Now I went VIP. Is there a way I can check if mine's already in the VIP or not? Because I really haven't seen no different latency.
Yeah, you can ask inside of Slack and KR or Amber to verify that you're on the CVIP servers. The issues we were talking about before with latency, those are pretty much independent of the issues you were seeing with latency were something that would affect everyone on the platform that normally does not cause any sort of latency, but just has caused it recently, like today, I guess, or the last couple of days. But that's like affecting everyone, and it's not something that's like, oh, VIPs on a different server. Like there's some core services we use where there is no difference in whether or not you're a VIP. Like if you're on Twilio, like Twilio doesn't provide us a way to like, oh, hey, this is a VIP caller, so make this call go faster or something.
Okay, so it's more of a vendor issue as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, I don't know if I was supposed to, and again, I just came from vacation. I was in Europe for like almost 3 weeks, and when I came back, I had to extinguish a lot of fires. There's what's going on. When you have two businesses, you know how it works. You go out and you come back and say, "Oh my God, I gotta like fix all these." So,
yeah.
With that being said, I don't know if I have gotten the. I guess you guys gonna send me like a what do they call? I forgot what it's called. What do they call it? I think it's a referral link or something like that. I haven't seen that yet, or I don't know if they send it to me or not, or I don't know if it's being created.
That would be Jared or Amber could tell you. Normally, there's a course you go through in Town LMS that shows you how to generate your referral link.
Okay, yeah. Okay, they sent me something, and I started doing it, but because I'm so busy doing other things. Anyway, I also want to say public here. Thanks to Corey, I talked to him. He's kind of helping me out with how to structure this business because I got to talk to these people. So anyway, I just want to say hi and thanks to him publicly. So I think that's about it for me. Thank you.
Sweet. Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for the shout out. Corey's awesome. Have a good one. Vincenzo, how's it going? Good for it,
What's up?
What's going on?
Not really a question, more of just like a hey. I know WMS Dave was asking about like 800 toll-free numbers. Toll-free numbers by default are Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, okay.
When you do a lookup on them, they come up as New York.
Have you ever tested calling them? Because we have like an index. Like I don't know. We don't do like a area code lookup in the traditional sense of like pulling up on the internet. We just have like a giant, like an index of like here's all the area codes and the times that are associated with them. And it probably just picks one. I imagine it defaults to.
Yeah, I haven't tried actually calling one from within the platform. But I do know like that's what they're supposed to be. Is they're supposed to be identified as U.S. America / New York.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, hopefully. I'm actually really curious. I want to see if he'll dial one and let me know. Because now I'm like, oh shoot, that's something I don't know. I should figure that out.
I mean, I'll report back to you.
Let me know, by the way. I don't know if I haven't gotten a chance to check your guys' channel since I messaged in there for the call. But I can go ahead and get going whenever. Just let me know.
Yeah, I responded to. They're looking for a 303 number. And then
They get off of the account, give it the error account.
I'm not sure which. I think it would be just you could use any of ours. So I'll message you in the Slack channel.
Perfect. Okay. Cool. Well, glad we're able to finally get that set up. Like you guys rock and roll.
Yeah, they're looking to try and take advantage of the savings.
Yeah, the launch prices are still suck. So.
Yes, they do. Twilio is terrible.
First.
We did A2P registration. Was supposed to ask them to share it across all the sub accounts. They said that they did, and now they're forcing us to do A2P on the sub account.
Yikes! I didn't even know it was a thing actually.
Yeah.
Wow, that's different.
So, and here we were for like 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks now, thinking that H2P was ready. I just had to build out all the workflows in GHL, and I went to test them, and they failed due to A2P.
What a thing! Yeah, I think the smartest way to do it would be to get Twilio to ideally approve a number where they're okay with using that number on a bunch of different places. I just don't know if they allow that. But yeah, that'd be one way to do it.
Yeah. So, but that's my 2 cents for the night.
All right, so think contact then. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay. I'll make the report.
Hey Tyler, how's it going?
Good. How's your day going?
Good to hear, man.
Right.
Well, we had a problem during the last weekend with the live transfer. I believe I told you this in the last meeting too, but for some reason it's not working. Like it's firing, as you mentioned, like since the call hangs up at that specific node when the live transfer action should initiate. So it should be working or firing at your guys' end, but for some reason it doesn't seem to want to work no matter what I do. It's not
stuff no matter what.
It's not calling anything. It's just hanging up.
Okay,
no
got it.
There's a use.
Okay. Did Ahmed get a chance to look at it and find anything else?
Nothing specific. Like when I asked on the Slack channel, like it didn't really resolve anything. He just mentioned a couple of things about changing the agent. Don't have like logic trees branching from the opening. I get that the script we have is lackluster at best, but it is reaching the specific node it should be reaching. It's saying what it should be saying in the script, but it's still not firing.
Okay, I can definitely take a look at it tonight, and I can jump into the script, especially check out the call logs and understand why on earth is it not. Because it should be transferring. There's like no issues I'm aware of with those, so I'll definitely take a look at them tonight. Hopefully, I can give you a straightforward answer.
Should I tag you or add you in the Slack channel so you can take a look at this?
Yeah, I don't know if I have that one clear, and I'll definitely tag you just to say.
Right. Well, also something else, regarding if I create an outbound campaign, like how many of the list, like how many contacts from that list does it dial per minute, and like how long until like the phone number gets tagged as spam, or like does it happen frequently? Do I have to just burn through Twilio numbers?
Yeah, that is pretty dynamic. It's not something on our end at all. It's based on Twilio, or not necessarily Twilio, like the carriers and how they regulate what's spam and what's not spam. So generally, how it works is they just report. Like they look at carriers are pretty much always analyzing traffic, and they're looking at, okay, like how many calls were placed, how many times were the calls that were placed actually answered, like what's going on there in general, and that determines. They use that to determine, hey, it's likely a spam call or likely a legitimate call or whatever, and that's something the error doesn't have any control over. So what you can do is do some stuff like register your number with like public phone number registries. For some examples are free caller registry. I think there's another service I don't remember the name of, but you can have your phone number be registered with a lot of those places, and that's far more likely to give you. It's far more likely to give you like, or not likely to give you, reduce the odds of you getting marked as spam in the first place. So you can go through free caller registry. You can on Twilio. You can on Twilio, you can go in and you can. Why am I blanking on what I'm trying to say? That's why I'm having the joke. You can go into Twilio and you can register the number with Shake and Stir. That's what it's called. Shake and Stir. The other one is called Voice Integrity, I believe. And if you go in and you do these, they instantaneously put you on like a higher tier of traffic with the carriers, and so you have a much lower likelihood that, first of all, the calls are of lower quality, or that you're going to be reported as spam, because the calls that come over those like lower quality lines are far more likely to get marked as spam. But then additionally, you are kind of just like not on the radar as carriers, not on the carrier's radar as often as you would be if you were on the lower traffic line. So just I can kind of give you guys a checklist of like, hey, make sure you have this verified, make sure you have this verified, so on and so forth, and you can try with as many of them as you want. It's up to you guys there.
We really appreciate that. I'll make sure to remind you most likely.
Yeah, go for it. That's what that was.
So, like, how many calls does Air do per minute? Like, if I upload a list of, let's say, 10,000 contacts, like, how fast can it burn through that?
It depends on if you hit the budget cap. If you don't hit the budget cap on your campaign, it can go through it in a matter of like, I don't know, an hour. I guess it depends on how many calls you're talking about. But on a large scale, it can pump like a lot of calls through the stuff.
But no specific number, like.
It depends on a lot of things, because like the main barrier is actually not going to be error. It's going to be if you end up getting what's it called? If you end up getting restricted by Twilio on your CPS. Twilio by default, like on your account, has a CPS limitation, and if you exceed that, then they'll just end up queuing up your calls until you finally have space to run them. So they'll sit there and queue calls, and we'll just keep sitting there waiting for them to allow more calls to go through. And then once they finally do, the call will go out. If you don't have any limitations there, I don't really have a number I can say off the top of my head. It would be a very big number. We can place a ton of calls. I've placed like over 100,000 calls a day without any issue. So.
Well, speaking of Twilio, like, we've been trying to get like a toll-free number so we can tie with DHL. Right now, with the appointment setting and all of that. Last time we spoke, like regarding the appointment setting, you gave me like an idea of like breaking the APIs, so we can just offer the time zones and all of that, and then book the appointment using GHL itself. Well, GHL's automation, like, to my knowledge, like I couldn't figure out how can I book an appointment with that. Like it can only, like, there are only actions to update the status of a pre-existing appointment, but to create a new appointment, couldn't figure it out. If you figured it out, like, I would really appreciate that workflow, the actions I should take inside GHL's automation to get it done.
Gotcha. I did not get a chance to film that yet, but that's something I can definitely film this week.
Perfect.
Yeah, definitely bump. I probably did, but if it didn't, definitely bump that one in Slack for me, and I'll make sure I get that filmed this week. That's still that method we were talking about, though. That's what I was filming, to be clear. I don't have it. There's no other ways around it at the moment besides just having automation update that for you.
Got it. I see. We'll also, like, inside GHL, send like a confirmation text with like, obviously a confirmation text of the appointment is much better since collecting an email during the phone call is so hectic, it's lackluster. Like even sometimes when I check the script, it collects the email correctly, but for some reason the agent sometimes stutters. Like I've noticed it's adding things that are not in the script. Like I have at one note, I have it asked that the client, like, can you please spell your email for me letter by letter? But for some reason, my agent decided to add letter by letter by letter 3 times. No matter what I do to the script, like it shows that repeating the word letter 3 times is the best approach for this conversation.
That's annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying, and it's doing the same thing with the email. Like I'm collecting the email with a GPT prompt inside of GHL.
The letter by letter by letter, is the agent actually saying that on the calls when you play the recording?
Yeah, it says that in every call, like in the script, it just said letter by letter, but it says it 4 times.
Yeah, so that's not a transcription failure. So if it was transcribing email, it wouldn't do that. That's the voice model for whatever reason is just duplicating the, like if you wrote it. Yeah, actually, I was going to say maybe you could prompt it to say it, but I don't think that would even change anything. I think the voice model, the voices we use AI themselves. They're like a separate AI, and they use AI themselves to generate the voice, and they'll add in like not a lot, but like occasionally they'll add in like ums or like random filler things, or they'll just like tweak stuff up very slightly usually. But sometimes it will do that. It'll be like it'll say a word an extra time, or on some perceived phrase people notice to be like, hey Ahmed, and they're like, hey, why is my agent saying and it's like, oh, it's nowhere in your script, and we don't see that in the log because the voice is just hallucinating for whatever reason. That's something we're definitely trying to resolve, but it's still definitely a pending thing. I just wanted to point that out, that shouldn't affect its ability to read back an email, but I would highly recommend going with the phone number aspect anyways. It's going to be a lot more reliable.
Well, it is affecting the email. Like when it's repeating the email, it collects the email correct, and the email I collect with the GPT prompt is correct. It's the same thing that I said over the call, but it's adding random letters or repeating a letter twice when it's reading back the email.
Okay, gotcha.
Like
yeah,
I don't like the randomization. Like it's trying to imitate humans, but it's being frustrating, really.
Got it. Okay. That at least that makes sense to me now why you're doing that. Cause the voice is hallucinating when it goes to read back the email, but it's not transcribing it wrong. It's just when it reads it back, the transcription of that is going to be correct, but it's not the correct email.
Yeah, the transcribe is correct, but it's hallucinating and just adding random letters, specifically with emails that have like repeating letters side by side. It would just think like, hey, why not add a third, not add a fourth, and it just keeps stuttering on a certain letter. Like I say R, and it repeats back R. Like it likes 3 things. It doesn't like to say things twice.
Yeah. Okay. I feel you there. Okay. Yeah. We're, like I said, we're trying to work on some improvements to the voice model, so I'm really hoping we get rid of that like hallucination stuff. I don't know when it's going to happen, but we're definitely working on it. It's pretty tricky.
At least it's a new array though.
Yeah, 100% is.
Well, for the text confirmation instead of the email, since relying on an email address it's not reliable, especially when a client gets in an argument with the agent for the agent not being able to understand the email or read it correctly.
Yeah, that's all.
The text feature, we can't text any phone number for some reason. Like on GHL, whenever I try to send a text, it says get a toll-free number. So I got a toll-free number, and then it showed another error message that says like get a verification, like it's called 2AP something like that. I don't remember.
Oh, it's saying you need to get A2P 10 DLC.
That's the one.
Yeah. It's saying that because you can't send text messages through Twilio until your account has been A2P verified, or your business profile has been A2P verified, and then they will allow you to send SMS. That's something you have to go in and do. Can't get around that, unfortunately. You have like Twilio won't let you send text until you verify, which which is pretty easy to submit that. It takes like 2-3 days for approval and for, but you have to go. You can't skip that, otherwise they just block your texts.
Good. Well, I tried that, but the request got rejected for some reason. So if you have like any steps, anything specifically we should do regarding the HTTP.
Why did they reject it? What did they say the reason was?
Let me try to pull up the email quickly. Like it said something about consent or opt-in. So, like it had a step where it says like where does your client opt in to get a text message. I said through the phone call, like your verbal confirmation.
Did you show like where in the script it does that? Did you like take a screenshot of the node where it says, "Do you mind if I text you"?
No, like I don't think it asked for that. It was just like a text box, like with a question, like where does your client?
Yeah, what they're going to be looking for mainly is first that you're not doing anything illegal. Second, that you have opt-in consent, and you can either collect that on the call. You could say, "Okay, cool. I'd love to text this to you. Do you consent for us to send you a text message right now or after this call?" You have to get them to say yes, and then I don't know. I don't know. Like I'm not Twilio, so I'm not sure why that guy rejected that for that exact reason. But as long as you put an explicit detail that we are on the phone collecting opt-in approval to send them a text, that should get approved. Whether you could probably like reply to them and show more detail. Be like, "Hey, here's a screenshot of our script we're calling them with, and here's us asking for them to approve it." That's what they're mainly looking for.
Got it. And once like the entire account gets HTTP verified, that will funnel down to GHL, right?
Once the Twilio account gets HTTP verified, are you going through HTTP verification on GHL, or are you going through it on your Twilio
No,
account?
on Twilio, like I tried to do it. Like I contacted GHL customer support. Since I bought the toll-free number inside GHL after I connected it to Twilio, like the toll-free number I didn't get on Twilio, I got it inside GHL,
Oh, okay.
but connected to my Twilio account. So if it's not HTTP verified inside GHL, it should like show like a win message or
As long as you're using a number that you know has gone through the HTTP verification process, GHL is just using the Twilio API. So as long as if the number you're using on Twilio is the same number that gets HTTP verified, then it will work once you have that done. So you'll be good to go there.
All right, everyone. It has been a long stream. I hope that this audio helped anyone that's using Air AI and they're having trouble. And hopefully someone asks a question that's happening on your side. Normally, if you're having trouble with your agent, you need to be in touch with someone like myself, who is a licensed Air AI holder. And then we can, in turn, get in touch with Tyler or someone else on the founding team and get your situation resolved. So we do offer agency services. Our agency services start at $297 a month. You can go to our website at DahBahm.com. It's in the description of our channel. Or you can call us 7 days a week, 404-905-1741. Okay, I got to get back to work. It's pretty late. As you see, it's midnight. I'm going to end the stream right here. And basically, I'm going to make some notes on what I need to do tomorrow. And yeah, look out for my next content. I'm going to be re-releasing content basically about SEO strategies and website development, how to create your web pages and everything like that using GPTs. And basically just kind of showing, what I do and how come it takes, a lot of time. But you guys probably already know that. That's why you call me to take care of it for you. All right. Well, that's pretty much it. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. I appreciate everybody watching. And like I said, if you got any questions or any situations, just put it in the comment of the video, and I will definitely respond. All right. Thank y'all. Good night.